another beautiful Sunday morning. The sun is saying, can you come out to play? Hey, hey. Should have saw it coming, should have caught the warning. But I took a taste.
Hello, it's me, Wanda B. of He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeartRadio station. You can tune in, listen to me on IntellectualRadio.com, or you can listen on Spreaker, watch me on YouTube, whichever you choose. And I'm also live, Facebook Live right now. Hey, everybody, I'm going to be tuning in to you guys and seeing what you're talking about. I want you to chime in on the conversation because we have a hot topic today that my friend Dion Williams brought to me and said, you know what, I think this would be a good topic, and I kind of agreed, and I brought some of my intellectual friends to IntellectualRadio.com to talk about it with me, and the topic is there a such thing as being 100% faithful? And I have here Marvin White
Hey.
and my dear Valencia Jackson to talk about this with me. And so the question, is there a such thing as being 100% faithful? What do you think?
Fellas, we'll do fellas first.
Fellas first.
We'll do fellas.
A gentleman. I'm a gentleman. Always a gentleman. Always ladies first.
Always a gentleman.
Okay, I'll say yes. Your turn.
No.
Yes? If there is a way of being, I would like to bring up, we have a group, He Said, She Said, on Facebook, that if you like my Wanda B page or like He Said, She Said, I can make you be a part of that discussion. But on the page, someone said, my dear He Said, She Said, I have a he, Reginald, that said, you can be 100% faithful, but what about the flirting at the job with the female co-workers and stuff that is a form of cheating, or sneaking and getting a text from an old ex? What do you define as cheating, and therefore does that make it impossible to be 100% faithful? Valencia.
I think everything again is situational and for each relationship. So what are your boundaries within that relationship? Have you discussed it? And so I think a lot of things come up and we realize, we never really discussed that. And then that's where the problems come in. So it's a discussion that needs to be had. Hopefully you would do it first, but in reality, it doesn't happen. So when something comes up and it makes you uncomfortable, you should be comfortable to have that platform at home where you can say, hey, this bothered me and why, and then take it from there. But you know what your mate would or wouldn't do. I think if you would be uncomfortable with them sitting right there next to you, then you shouldn't do it.
Is that a good parameter to choose, that if it's something you have to do in the dark, then it's something that shouldn't be done? What do you think, Marvin?
First off, let me say that communication is big, it's huge. Everybody's reality of what is faithful could be different. Things that are done first off, in any relationship, it has to be 100% trust, not 90, not 99, 100%. If you don't trust your mate, then things done in the dark can be misinterpreted. You have to be able to trust that person and trust what they tell you, because you can interpret things one way, perceive it a different way, and they tell you. First, you have to believe what they tell you. If you don't trust what they tell you, then that whole thing is gone out the window. Now, being 100% faithful, it depends on what level of faithfulness you're talking about. You got guys that believe that as long as a woman is loyal, with guys is loyalty, with women is, and I'm speaking in general, so don't beat me up.
We're here to protect the
Right.
We have Marvin representing the he's, but
he gave us the hold up. Wait a minute.
The she's today.
I'm speaking in general. I'm not pointing out no one in particular, but in general, women look at 100% faithfulness is physical. Don't go out and mess around on me. Don't, it's an emotional thing. When you break that emotional bond, then you're done. And women tend not to go back on that. Faithfulness to them is just, it's more on an emotional and physical level. What guys, we tend to look at it as a loyalty thing. As long as you're loyal to me, as long as you there, like ride or die, I'm gonna be faithful to you. Now, to answer your question about the what's done in the dark, like I said, as long as you trust that person and believe and have that communication open, then usually what's done in the dark is gonna come to light anyway.
You know what? I'm going to say why there is he said, she said is because it's an open dialogue, a relationship forum where we are trying to improve the relationship and quality, the quality of relationships between the men and the women. And I think a lot of times we may feel we know how the other side thinks. And I think that's why I find it so intriguing to really hear what a man will say they feel and think. But I don't know if I agree with what you said about what women think here.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm just speaking of my experience.
Your experience, right. And that could only be your experience. Right. But I do think, is probably part true then. If that's your experience, there are women that do that.
It's his perception of his
experience.
Right.
Oh,
it's his he said side.
It's the he said.
Absolutely.
What he heard, what he took from what she said.
Yes.
So Valencia, tell them what we thinking there. What are we really thinking here? Or what we thinking?
As far as at first your first comment, I think that threw me and Wanda where we kind of was like when you said we only think it's physical.
As far as faith,
and that is so incorrect.
And the emotional side too. Let me throw that in there. Yeah. It is emotional because I guess it's a combination. It is emotional and physical because a woman, you can be physically faithful to a woman, but if you speak or talk to somebody else, they'll consider that unfaithfulness.
Oh my goodness. We have work to do here today.
We have work here to do.
There's so much work to do.
I hope you're tuning in to IntellectualRadio.com right now and listening to us because we are going to really talk on this topic. Is there a such thing as being 100% faithful? How the dear women see it on the she side and how the men see it and view it from the he side. So Valencia, what do you say?
What men are missing. So let me acknowledge that we give that vision, right? It comes off like that. You spoke to her, you over there talking to her, and y'all like, what is this about? Okay, I'll give you that is a scenario. And what we're trying to accomplish is, what does that really mean? Okay, and behind that is a series of questions that you must ask yourself. You have to know your mate's story, first of all.
Okay.
What are they? We all say, don't bring that baggage, but the truth is we all have some wounds somewhere. And so you have to understand where she's coming from. So let's say she's had some deficiencies and insecurities or whatever. Okay, we get that. But the piece that you're missing is that the woman may want you to make her feel like she is all of these things. And if we're not feeling like we're all of those, we don't want a piece of something we're not getting, even if it's that one piece, that attention that you're giving that girl, that you can talk to her and communicate and have a great time and advise her. And then when I come to you with my feelings, it's something else. So that you talking to her and you speaking to her is surface, but there's something underneath. So the question is, where are you feeling in some kind of category that she's feeling a void and you're giving it to someone else?
Okay, let me ask a question. Because I always feel like this. It's about compatibility and compromise. When you meet someone, first off, a lot of us, we don't go into realizing if that person is compatible with us or not. I agree with you when you say it depends on our experiences and viewing that person and view what they've been through. A lot of times we get involved with people without realizing what their story is. But when you see that their story or their experiences might not be aligned with yours, and you continue to date or have a relationship with this person, then there's more of a compromise that needs to be made. Sometimes a compromise, depending on how varied or how uncompatible you are, it doesn't, you're giving more of yourself in a compromise than you should, and that's not going to work. Okay, now when I say give more of yourself, when it gets to a point when you have to completely change your ideology or how you think to make another person feel comfortable, then that's uncompatibility, and that's not going to work.
I hear you on. I think I agree to some degree that we owe ourselves to heal ourselves, not always come into a relationship expecting that person to heal, understand where you're totally coming from and change and heal you and fix every situation you ever dealt with. I think it's a two-way street to be working on ourselves at all times and healing ourselves from past relationships and not bringing all this baggage and asking somebody to sort through our dirty clothes and our dirty laundry and clean it all for us. We have to do some cleaning ourselves. So I agree with you both. I think there's a level of a man needing to, men and women coming to each other and learning your story, and then finding out if it's something you can even deal with. Because maybe it's something you don't even feel like unpacking all these.
Right. And it's bad to get in a relationship and then find out you can't deal with it. And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're not vetting that person. You see somebody you like, it's a physical shell, and then you go into it, and before you know it, you're in what they call it now situationship, or and find out you don't really like this person.
Wow. And that is huge, that you find out you start to unpack their bags and go, this is way too much than I expected. We're talking about the topic, is there such thing as being 100% faithful, here on IntellectualRadio.com. And I also wanted to take a quick moment to talk about some businesses that, before we keep going, some businesses that I frequent and love. Omen Home Improvement, which is at 116th and Pulaski and Alsip. Their number is 773-238-1829. And it's getting cold outside. So if you have drafty drafty windows and it's getting cold and you want to get those repaired, he's the person to call. Ask for George. You can tell him I sent you, because who knows, he may even give you some percentage off because you mentioned my name. Hey, you may want to find out. That's Omen Home Improvement. And then Selina'sCloset.com, their new arrivals are here on October 29th. They are going to have a nice shop and sit, nice fashions for when you're going out in the holiday seasons. And Journey to Wholeness Center, I have on this shirt. Journey to Wholeness Center is having their intuitive fair today. I was there earlier today. Stop by. It's from 11 to 6 today, 9501 New England in Oak Lawn, Illinois. Go there. It's over at 6, so you have time. You know what? You can bring your phone, put IntellectualRadio.com on your phone, and actually drive there. And at the same time, be doing double things, like really making the best of your time. So stop by there. So where are we? We were talking about, is there a such thing as being 100% faithful? And we both, I think, do you both agree that it can be done?
I think it can be.
It depends on the person's perception. They have to be on the same page of what their definition of faithfulness is. And as long as they're on the same page, then yeah, it can be done. But if they don't agree on, first they have to come to terms. Both people have to understand what faithfulness is. Like the example I gave, if you're dealing with somebody who feels like being faithful to me means I don't want you interacting with another female at all. If I see you texting somebody, or if I see you on the phone with somebody, that's unfaithful. You straying, you know.
Don't agree to it. Don't give the perception that you agree to it. Because we sometimes we conform to things we know that we cannot live with, and we deal with it for 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 years, and then when we finally say I'm tired of doing it, that other person sees you changed on me because you led them to believe them. But if you this particular woman, I'm so sorry wherever she is, I'll say sorry on her behalf. If that was her perception of faithfulness and she was vocal about that, then you had a choice to say I'm not comfortable. I don't want to compromise under that. And then you move on. But to stay, knowing those are the terms of that particular contract, then yes, you will be unfaithful.
Well, again, no, not necessarily.
If that's what she says and you stay, and that's the terms of the contract, then no matter how unfair I may feel like that was the dumbest contract you ever signed.
That's what I'm
No, I said we all get to make the terms of the contract. When you sit down and you say this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and you say this is what I want, this is what that you don't want, and we join, and now you want to tell me I need to stop wanting what I once told you I wanted when you said okay and you didn't say anything about that. We have both set the rules for the contract. And don't agree to that if you don't agree to that.
But what if from the beginning it was never agreed to? And it's just like, okay, you saying that bothers me. And I'm constantly telling you, but it means nothing. Mm-hmm. But again, we compromise. We continue with the relationship.
The compromise shouldn't have been the relationship. The compromise should have been, in my opinion, how are you going to make rules and regulations around this particular thing where you both feel like winners.
So why can't she get to know me and understand me as an individual when I say, hey, that means nothing, to accept that and say, that means nothing.
And she could, but who says that she should just accept what you're saying? And she wants to be accepted. So everybody wants you just to accept. Where's the work on getting accepted?
Because I'm not the one with the problem.
See, and so says all the men across America. And that's really how men feel. And that's where we have the problem. Your problem should be my problem should be your problem. Your problems are mine.
Just like she said, I shouldn't have to be trying to fix you. I mean, I shouldn't be the one to try to say, hey, I got to convince you that nothing is going on. Where's the trust? Trust me when I say there's nothing going on.
Okay, so Stezo John says, should you release your baggage slowly in a relationship or all at once? So how do you know before a situation? You can't talk about everything before you get to know. I mean, every situation come up, so you even know how someone will respond. Mm-hmm. And so then, how do you know that you're going to have a problem when your ex walks up and hugs you and talks too long? The girl is like, why are you talking to her? What were y'all talking about?
Until it comes up.
Up. Right. So then what?
And then when you address it, then she has, according to you, you either deal with it or say, okay, we can't deal with this and move on and split.
No, that's not what I said. I said there's the communication and where's the work on both of you feeling like you left that situation.
So what do you do when you agree to disagree? When you keep saying that there's nothing and she keeps saying
that's not an agree to disagree situation. Agree to disagree situation is, should we be having the people running for president? That's an agree or disagree situation. But when feelings are involved, it's never agree or disagree.
So what do you do when he keeps telling her there's nothing going on and she keeps insisting that I don't like the way that makes me feel?
Okay. So move beyond the words. What actions are we taking? Are you alienating her? Does she feel alienated when you're talking?
Yourself.
No, I know what I'm saying is, but but when you're being yourself and you're by yourself, you don't have to worry about how it affects others. Once you're in a relationship, you being yourself, you now have to wonder, how is that affecting the person I'm with? And if you don't want to think that, you should not
change how I interact to make her feel
absolutely. If that's what, and I'm not saying you're not supposed to have your friends, but the way you interact, yes, there is some things that has to change when you enter into a relationship.
So let's just say on this particular subject, why is it she can't change how she feels about it?
She can, but she needs your help. And what she needs from you is to acknowledge, okay, Susie over here, but bring her along, engage her. She's involved and she's doing and all that's going on. And if you, like I said, and if you feel like you tried everything, I'm not saying you haven't met a woman that can't get past this, because they exist. Right. I am not, disclaimer, right. I am not saying every woman can deal with this issue, but if that is so big for you, you need a woman that can. And so if you need to be open and honest about that, and if that's something that really means something to you, usually that should be one of your early on baggage releasers. That should be one of your early disclaimers.
I think someone said here, everyone's perception of faithfulness is different. And I think that is something that needs to be discussed, because both scenarios you two mentioned sounds like this could be something that makes them even non-compatible. We're talking about, is there a such thing as being 100% faithful here on He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. And we have a bunch of viewpoints on this, because I don't know if I necessarily, or I don't know if I understand what you're saying when you say this, Valencia. It feels like you're saying, or how it comes across, as if the man has to make the concessions to always make the woman, not always, you didn't say that, but to make the woman feel better, that if she feels this way, he should be changing his actions to make her feel better. Where does she take ownership and say, well, let me look at the situation? And could there really be that there's nothing going on? So can I change how I feel about it, so he doesn't have to change for me all the time? And what do you say?
Well, first off, it's not a male versus female, because the roles could be switched. Yes, let me first say that this could be anybody, because there are a lot of women who are social butterflies and their man is not. That's true. And if we be honest, there are more men who want their woman to kind of stay more cuffed than in places than we have it vice versa. Okay, so and that's in my opinion. But what but what I mean by that is not saying you should have to. After there's serious conversation and the other person has made you understand that maybe the way that you have been engaged. So let me give it a scenario. You're in the club. You see the person, oh, hey, and your guys are talking, you're drinking, and she's kind of standing over here off to the side. And maybe the girl never even acknowledged her. So maybe for that person, it's not, I don't want you talking to him, but can it be a little more respectful? So maybe other issues are there. Maybe it's do it, but do it. Now you have to do it with a different level of respect. Before, it didn't matter if you went over here and talked and laughed and hee and you guys linked on each other and you did all of this. That was fine when you were solo. But now you have to take in consideration the other person's feelings and perception and respect and honor. All those things come into play now. And to do that, changes have to be made, because if you did not make any changes, how is this person any different? How are they being honored above the rest?
Let me bring up something. When I looked up the definition of faithful, because if we're asking, can someone be 100% faithful, what is being faithful? And like we're saying, that I think relationships, we know, need to determine their own version of what's faithful to them, because everybody has their own things that they're things that they can and cannot do, the deal breakers. So faithful, having or shown a true and constant support, loyalty, not having sex with someone else who's not your wife, husband, girlfriend. So physical. One definition kind of made it just totally seem physical. Right. But I do think, and while we are asking, is there a such thing as being 100% faithful? Because is there a way of being unfaithful that doesn't involve sex?
Absolutely.
Right. That's what I was saying.
Absolutely.
With some, and not all women, but
please show the disclaimers. We know we jump on you every time you make a statement because we so different.
When I was saying about, how women could see you talking to somebody or texting but like Valencia was saying, it's all about that guy. And my only thing is when that guy gives her that explanation, when he, I can understand a woman getting upset, especially if she sees something and in her mind she might think it's one way. But my only thing is when he comes and he explains it and say, hey, you're completely wrong. Why, she won't look at it that way. It's all about my perception, how I seen it. A guy's supposed to, as you say, convince her, change her point of view.
That's what I have a problem. Why is it always though that we're completely wrong? Our feelings have value and meaning.
Because you guys are emotional. You're gonna go off on that emotional tangent. You can't help it.
Okay, so if you know that, and that's the thing, I think that's why this show, the point is very important, because we're trying to bridge the gap of you saying, well,
right.
Okay, you emotional. So if I'm emotional and that we can't change it and we know that you are this way, we're trying to find the compromise to make it work. And it doesn't work for you just to say, I told you, ain't nothing going on. That's it. That's all. Eat the cake and the mac.
No.
Yes, that's what you're saying.
No, that's not what
There's
I'm saying.
work to do.
There is a compromise. But, okay, I'm a social person.
Mm-hmm.
When I see you, I've been around 55 years of my life. And since I've been an adult, I'm the kind of person when I see you, hey. No problem, hey.
What if I say don't hug on her?
Right. This is what I'm saying. Now, I explain to you, we're dating. Hey, it doesn't mean nothing. That's just how I agree. That's me. That's the person I am. I'm that kind of person. I don't like that. I don't like you hugging every woman I see. Should I change who I am? To me, that compromise would involve me changing a part of me.
Well, let me step in here a second. Rochelle. Hey, Rochelle. I see you. I know she said she was going to tune in. You in Walmart, girl? We see you. Hello, Napoleon. Thank you, everybody that's tuning in. And please keep your comments coming. Or if you're listening on IntellectualRadio.com, keep listening to us. And Rochelle says, absolutely, Val, there's levels of respect. But for me, I'm going to say I'm listening to you. And as Napoleon said, what if the man changed, but she doesn't? And the compromise has to be there to make each other feel good about the situation.
Yes.
Just because that's constantly been your behavior, and that's how I greet people. What if the roles were reversed and she hugged on every man that walks? Y'all always say that.
Right.
You start hugging on every man that walks up to us.
Absolutely. Then it don't taste so good.
To me, that's part of your character. If you're hypocritical, that's going to stand out in the beginning. I'm not a hypocritical person. I feel what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Okay, I'm gonna let you do everything I do. That's gonna strengthen my beliefs and my point.
But what did you just say? Everything that you do. Now, what about something that you don't do that she loves doing? So you just said you would be okay with her doing everything I do, but she's okay with probably everything you do. Hugging is something she doesn't do. So.
Okay, it wouldn't bother me. I believe in accepting a person. Number one, when I get involved with somebody, my whole vision of that person is open. I don't have a preconceived notion of what I want that person to be. I open my eyes totally into what I'm looking at. And if I accept you, I accept totally what you do, your actions, what you like to do. And if it's along that route, if it's something that I don't like, if it's enough for me to void the contract, then I'm gone. But if it's not, I accept it. I'll never tell a woman what I don't want her to do.
Well, that's everybody. That just happens to be on her list of what she won't accept, and you won't accept that.
I didn't get that.
You're saying that there's this long list, and until you get to that point, that there's something that's a deal breaker, then you voice your
I don't
opinion.
have any. I mean, I accept her
Mm-hmm.
totally.
Mm-hmm. Until something comes up, you say it, right?
Say, for instance, smoking. That's a deal breaker.
Okay.
I ain't no compromise with that. I'm not going to deal with somebody that's smoking.
Okay.
So, again, but that's not, if it's something like behavioral, along the route, that's what part of the dating process is. I'm going to find out if it's something I can deal with or not. Now, it's the same way with her. If I'm doing something that she can't deal with and it's a deal breaker, I understand. But don't tell me to change to make you happy.
Tina Melendrez says, hi, Tina.
Hey, Tina.
Hey, Tina. She says, I agree in the compromise, but should it change who you are? And I threw it in that then are they not accepting you for you? If you're the social butterfly, then can I be social? Dion Williams says, hi, Dion. And he's the one who kind of brought this topic up and made us talk about it today. He said there's nothing wrong with being social, but the respect level has to be 200%.
Absolutely.
If you don't respect the relationship, nobody else will.
Absolutely.
So,
but being social and being respectful is two different things. You can be social and be respectable.
You can. But here's an example of, go back to Salsa Tina, her response, and kind of the same, mixing it in with Dion's. You do not, changing who you are and altering the way you do things is two different things. And I think the person who has always been asked to alter wants to make the fight that you're changing me so that they don't have to alter. That's their defense mechanism, not to do the altering. So to say, prior to meeting this young lady, you're in the stepper scene and you're hugging and it's the kiss. Okay, so no, I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. But that's what I mean. So the respect level is you can no longer do the more intense hug, the longer lingering hug, or you have to change the way you do it. It's not saying you can't meet and greet, but it has to be in a different way. Now it needs to be inclusive of who you're with. You cannot
group hug.
Well, not group hug. I mean, I think it would be very rude. It's disrespectful. Since we're talking respect, there's respect and there's disrespect. And it's disrespectful to have your mate there and you're meeting in such a personal way with so many people and she's not being included. What I mean by that, if these people are such great friends and they're so friendly, then she should start getting as many hugs and greetings from those people. And maybe that will help her to see. But if the girl's coming up to Marvin and they hugging Marvin and she's sitting over there and everybody's walking away, she doesn't feel that that's just a greeting, because there's the inclusivity needs to be there.
Most of the time somebody that's got a problem or issue with with their man or their woman hugging is not really a hugger themselves. They're not a social person. So if I'm out and I'm hugging somebody and they're a friend of mine, they don't know, I mean, this is my woman, I can introduce this my lady. Most of the time she's either gonna how you do, but they're not gonna hug her either.
I'm not expected to hug everybody, hugging, and I'm not sure that that's what Valencia necessarily is saying.
Right, no.
But so how do you, when we say respect, then is there a way to define ahead of time what is respect to me? So I think when you get in this, you do have to make some compromises. It's not necessarily changing who you are, but treating the other person in a relationship like you want to be treated. And like you say, you want to be fair. You want to, if you're going to hug, and you may be two different kind of social beings.
Right.
Like you said, they may be a hugger and you're dating someone who isn't a hugger, who thinks every time you hug somebody, that's too much because they wouldn't do it. So I think I see all the facets that make sure you pick the person who's most similar and can give you the kind of respect make sure you're compatible.
Right.
Because if you know he or she is the super social butterfly and is going to be hugging everywhere, and you know that about them before you even start.
But even if you're not compatible, if you know that about the person and you decide to go into that relationship, don't make it an issue if you know that about them going into it.
Well, that's what I said about the contract. That's exactly what I said. So, but you also have that, and that's what I meant by don't accept it for so long and then switch it up.
Well, don't
I
even
think some
accept it.
people accept it though, Marvin. I think some of them do. Some people do know that it's going to be a problem, and it's easy to say don't let it bother you until they start seeing it. I mean,
Right.
until they see how you're actually greeted by every woman, or see how social you can. It's easy to tell somebody, I know a lot of people, and then until you've already entered into this agreement, we're going to see each other, let's date, and then you see, oh my goodness, he knows a whole lot,
of people.
or she knows a whole lot. I didn't even know what that looked like. So then, is it a way to communicate that this isn't working and not feel like you're wrong? I didn't want to see you change. I didn't want anything.
Right. One thing is, nobody's ever wrong. Feelings are valid.
I agree.
And that's why I said it's all about compatibility. And in those kind of instances, it's especially if you've already been dating for a while, you try and work it out. You want to try and work it out. But if she knows a lot of people and you know a lot of people and that's causing conflict, then that's something that has to be addressed. I mean, especially if it leads to a feeling of unfaithfulness. You know, it's I don't know how to. That's why I said you can't be 100% faithful, but in the eyes of the other person, you're not.
So I looked up a few things to see what we're discussing. Is there a such thing as being 100% faithful here on IntellectualRadio.com? And wanted to see what are some things that could make someone not feel like you're being faithful. Maybe it's the past behaviors that indicates that, he or she has exhibited some past behavior that now is kind of lingering in the back of your head. And when you see them do that, even though they are being 100% faithful in their eyes, you maybe start piggybacking. I guess, like we said, baggage. That baggage hasn't been dealt with. Now that creeps up and makes you think they're not being 100% faithful. Is that? And how do you deal with that though? Because now we both know. I think we're all saying that we recognize what the issues could be, but how do we fix it?
I think it's about trust. It has to be trust. That's the bottom line structure. If you trust a person, and if I trust you, now, whether my perception of what you're doing could be skewed. I didn't like the way you hugged that person, or you stayed out late, or whatever, and you're giving me an explanation. If I trust you, then I'm going to trust what you tell me. And I'm going to feel like, okay, she's still faithful. But if I don't trust you, it doesn't matter what you tell me, I'm not going to believe you. So you have to be able to trust a person.
Valencia, what was that?
Well, because it is very typical to hear the man say trust, trust, trust. But the part that stuck out to me from your initial question was the baggage pre-relationship. We can take that responsibility off the mate. But if the baggage is something you created, you must clean that up. And the problem that most men have is putting in the work to clean it up. No, let me explain what that means, because you want to say, yes, I messed up with Susie, but you're supposed to be trusting me now. Get over that.
What if you didn't mess up with Susie?
No, but the original thing was that there were some behaviors before that we keep reverting back to that looks familiar. That was the initial question.
Okay, but I'm posing the question: what if you didn't mess up?
But if she in her mind says he messed up. So I mean, because we had established that he messed up. The real question was the back. He or she, whoever it is that messes up, whoever created the baggage should clean it up. If you're going to stay within the relationship, the problem comes in. We don't want to put the work in. for cleaning up our own baggage. We want to say, just trust me. I told you I'm not going to do it anymore. Trust me. So if you trust me, see, you still on that old stuff. What did you do to clean up and restore the trust?
Now, I agree with you. If you created that, then yeah. But I'm speaking of a situation where it's a trust.
Say her name. Say her name. I need you to say her name. I need you to get it off for you. Make her a hashtag, because you are so stuck on this woman that won't let you when we have moved on.
Trust is a losing commodity nowadays. Nobody trusts anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Nobody trusts. And nowadays, trust has to be earned. People go into relationships. Me, if I meet you, if I decide to date you, off the bat, I trust you 100%,
Mm-hmm.
not 99,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm in the minority. Most people go into relationships looking for something. Let me see if he's worthy of my trust. And that's the difference. If you go into relationship, I trust you 100%. Not 99, 100%.
Okay.
Despite baggage.
Despite baggage. Because baggage is in the past. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
So what else do you go in fully with? Because I don't go in fully trusting you. I don't go in fully loving you. I don't go in fully honoring you. So there are different things, and that's what I'm saying. So how does trust go in? To me, I should already respect you. I should already, be able to communicate with you. I should be a communicator. But those other things that now take us into relationship, I shouldn't give them to you already.
Yes.
And if you want me to give that to you, you wouldn't have a problem if I'm questioning, because your actions are going to be trustworthy
anyway. I don't have a problem
anyway.
with you questioning, but don't crucify me without no proof. You got to trust what I tell you.
Okay. Dion said, has a point here, a question. Anything that you cannot share is being unfaithful.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to hide it, then you should not be doing it. What do you think about that?
That's true.
I'm gonna say it can be looked at another way. I think sometimes the miscommunication begins to make people hide things that's nothing, because they're afraid of what his position is. You'll have a lot of men say, I'm not going to tell her because when I tell her the truth, she won't just trust what I'm saying. So because of that, I'm hugging this girl at the club, and I know she don't like it, but I'm going to do it because it's nothing. I'm not doing anything. So, by that is not necessarily that the hugging is cheating, but because he's uncomfortable with really dealing with how to fix that, then it becomes like it's unfaithful.
Nobody should be uncomfortable with telling their mate anything.
That's true, but let's be honest. If that was the way of the world, we would be in a better place. But the communication is lost.
That's true. I'm one of those people that shoot from the hip. I come and you ask me, I'm gonna tell you. But now, whether you believe it or not is a whole different story. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. Cut and raw, uncut, 100% true.
We're talking about, is there a such thing as being 100% faithful here on IntellectualRadio.com? He says, she said, and I hope you all like the Facebook page, He Said, She Said, and Wanda B, because if you want to always join, we have topics every single day. So if you want to join our group and let's talk about these topics, please. And I try to bring these topics to this forum so we can talk about it together and hear each other's side of the story here. And so something else came up where we talked about how men view it, how women view it. And then I read an article in Men's Health magazine on how to stay faithful. Mm-hmm. So if we're dealing with things that are getting kind of sketchy, is this faithful? Is it not? And one of the things said that to keep the faith, increase the intimacy in your relationship. Mm-hmm. Commit to making 5 small, intimate gestures: hug, kiss, email, text.
And again, that's the physical side of it.
That's the physical side, right?
Right.
That's mental. a text just to say something to your mate. It's you're physically texting.
That's funny.
It's physically texting, but it is mental, to the woman. It is mental for the woman. And see, that's what I'm saying. If you got to know the rules, you can't change them. You got to figure out how to make them work.
So if I don't text you, if I don't do all those things, I'm being unfaithful.
That's not what we're saying. We're saying how to stay faithful. And they said increase the intimacy. And we're letting you know a sweet text is very intimate to us.
And I see what you're saying, but again, know the person. Just because
know your person.
Right, know your person. If he's not a texter and you like to get that text, then I guess the question is, it's got to be a compromise. He's got to learn how to text sometimes. But if he don't text, you don't crucify him.
We really do think that. It's so funny. But it is interesting that you felt that was like, that is just that simple, that it's the physical action of texting. I don't like to text. But we're thinking of the mental, that is keeping in communication, making us feel, because some of the things that make women feel like, oh, when you're hugging her or you're texting that woman, is that they feel lack of intimacy in their own relationship.
But you have to learn your mate's love language.
That's
true. You might like texting, but he might show you, might want to show you love in a different way.
So there needs to be both. So start texting more.
That's what I'm saying.
And then
you have to, as the woman has to say, okay, he didn't send me a text, but what did he do to show me the way he wants to show me how.
Are you going to text as part of that compromise?
He's got to compromise.
Okay.
He's got to text sometimes.
It's so hard for you to say that. Oh my goodness.
I also feel women need to kind of check themselves sometimes too, a little bit. Because we're emotional, we don't get to totally rest on our laurels of being emotional. So just understand me. At some point, we do have to think to ourselves, is this true? Has he shown any behavior of being untrustworthy? Have you found anything or seen anything that makes you think that isn't more than just a hug? And maybe that just is. And I have to start easing in that every time he hugs and does a little bit extra, that he's not actually doing something. Sometimes we may have to repair how we see things a little.
That's
so
hard
it's
to do.
not all on him to always change or him to feel that way, because he doesn't actually have to. But at the same time, I do think sometimes, if I'm listening to you correctly, Marvin, that some men feel like we put all the ownership on them to fix the situation when there's nothing going on. So when does the woman say, well, you know what, let me also alter how I respond to him doing it? Because if he's shown the pattern that he's not untrustworthy, he's not, then when do we kind of take ownership for our own feelings as women?
We should. I mean, everyone should. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you should not, but I'm saying after you've checked your feelings, if you still feel a certain way, and some people are going to feel a certain way. The work comes in on not judging that person for feeling the way they feel. Yeah. It comes in of whether or not you can deal with the way they feel. And once you say you're going to take it in, because now you're in this relationship, you can't continue to say, well, hey, I'm dealing with it the way I feel like I'm dealing with it. You don't like it, keep moving, because I gave you my disclaimer. That's it. You can't, you can't do that. So you have to figure out how to make that person feel better. I mean, there's no other way to sugarcoat it. It is what it is. Yes, you in relationships, you are responsible for that other person's heart. When you join, I am giving you me. That's me. That's my mind. That is my heart. And so that's how you see people getting in these unhealthy relationships, because one went in giving that. The other person took it and misused it, and we're wondering why she's still with him. She gave him her mind. She gave him her heart. He chose to do the wrong thing with it. So you are responsible for those things when you enter into a relationship.
Well, I want to keep going and try to get through these 5 points of how to stay faithful. And these are some of the things that if we feel there's this outlining thing that makes us feel someone cannot be 100% faithful, maybe if we try to do a little bit more of these things, it'll help us both bridge the gap and being feeling that there's faithfulness there. So number 2 was not putting yourself you're not at risk and not putting yourself in situations that can be looked at as questionable. Mm-hmm. So maybe to not be deemed like is she being faithful? Because she's doing a lot of things that are questionable. Don't get in those compromising situations. Weigh the risk factors sometimes of how.
Let me guess, Marvin's gonna say, trust me.
There you go.
I said I'm not doing anything. So what? We've been to lunch 15 times this month. Trust me.
It's about
Right?
trust.
See?
It's
I
about
knew he was gonna
trust.
say that.
But I think you have to take
and
ownership to make us feel you can be trusted.
It goes both ways.
It goes both
if
ways.
I see her, well, I come in the house, she in the house, it's a guy there. Most guys say, oh, hell no, I'm not going, a lot. I might be in a minority, but I'm going to ask her. I'm not going to go off. Hey, I'm going to shake the guy's hand. How you doing? Somebody I ain't never seen before. Honey, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. This is somebody, whatever explanation is, a friend of hers, long friend, high school buddy, whatever. Okay, cool. I trust you.
Yeah, you're the minority.
You're the minority.
The minority of the world, not just men. You're the minority of the world.
But that's why I'm so big on trust, because I'm going to give you that trust. And I expect that same, I expect you to reciprocate
But
that.
your philosophy is not everyone else's, and that's where you
Well,
have to
that's what
compromise.
compatibility comes in.
No, compromise. You don't want to compromise. That's
because I'm on the losing end of that.
You have
If
to
I'm
compromise,
giving you
even if
that-
you're compatible. If you're still not, they're not you. They don't think about everything like you. So there's
but
compromise.
if I'm giving you that much, and that's respect too. If I'm giving you that much respect to trust you and to feel what you're telling me is true, then to me, when you question me, number one, you're questioning my character. Okay, if I'm telling you something and you're telling me you don't believe it, you calling me a liar. You're questioning my character. Then why are you even with me?
Oh goodness. Okay.
I know.
I hear you, and we have to hear you. The reason for he said, she said, is to give an open forum so we can listen to the dialogue, and we have to really take this in that if this is how men feel. I mean, whether we agree
We're
or
in
not,
trouble, baby.
Marvin is representing how
Well,
Yes.
I know I'm a minority when it comes to a
No,
lot
and that
of
topic,
things.
I think they
Yeah.
really do agree with
Yeah.
you. And we're getting close on time, and we're talking about the topic here on Intellectual Radio. Is there such thing as being 100% faithful? I want to get through some of the tips to help you stay faithful, because I need you to stop doing anything. Some of the things we may do or work not to do those is you have to recognize when you're in a threatening situation. So don't let your guard down too much, too many lunches and too many dates and too many things that you may be letting your guard down because you think it's so innocent, and it is on your part.
I'm a firm believer what's done in the dark will come to light.
That's true. Okay. Number 4 is fighting banter. So fighting all the time, and this is within your relationship. So when you can weigh that you all fight more than you love on each other, then you're probably going to start thinking somebody may be cheating or putting yourself at risk
to cheat yourself.
Bring that percentage down that you might be cheating. So make sure that you have as many smiles as you have anger. Keep that balance of being happy and bring the negative interactions fewer than make sure there's a lot of positive, and then challenge one another. That takes more than just sex. So we look for relationships that better us. So partners to improve who we are. And sometimes we are not trying to better each other than someone who does catch our eye because I see them.
They're already there. They made it. It looks better.
It looks better.
It's shinier.
It's shinier. They're making me feel good. They're making me feel important and no one should make you feel. Let me fix that. Please fix yourselves and heal yourselves. Don't bring your damaged selves into these relationships. Work on yourself. But at the same time, sometimes if you want someone, we want to be challenged in our relationships. We want someone that makes us excites us to be better. It makes us better, and when we start seeing that in someone else, then sometimes that causes the cheating. The eyes are wandering. So work on having healthy relationships. And I think I'm going to have to recap this, and I thank you both for coming. Valerie, please. I'm sorry, Val. Tell us real quick about your Valencia, your
event coming up.
Event coming up
on November 11th, Friday. It's all black party taking place at the Dorchester. Award-winning Maurice Joshua. It will be the DJ, free food till exhausted, $20 advance tickets. Always a great time. Just a bunch of grown folks getting together and having a good time. So come on out if you can.
Oh, thank you. And I just want you to check out Selena'sCloset.com. You can also go to IntellectualRadio.com's website because I have all of our advertisers there. Heroes, Sports Bar and Grill, Imposing, All Men Home Improvement. Go back, Journey to Wholeness. You got till 6 o'clock. Marvin, thank you so much for coming. Valencia, thank you so much, Miss Valencia Jackson. I really appreciate you both for coming out. You're listening to He Said Shit on IntellectualRadio.com. I'll see you next Sunday, 2 o'clock.
Can there rain, running rivers through the summer snow? You keep me satisfied. I can't complain. I wouldn't know where to start. No. It's good inside. Hot apple pie. I'm your ice cream.